of Spear and Fang in Jenny Tartakovsky's animation Primal had seemingly and rushedly come to a close at the end of Season 2. Everyone was sad and understandably pining after the ending of the series, and for those who don't know, Primal is an action-adventure thriller series created by Jenny Tartakovsky, who's known for his work on Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. The story primarily follows two protagonists, a caveman named Spear and a female Tyrannosaurus called Fang. These two share a unique bond formed through mutual loss, as a vicious dinosaur killed both Spear's family and, unfortunately, Fang's offspring. We follow them together on their several adventures that, while lacking dialogue, make up for it with story elements, interactions, animation, environmental aesthetics, and entertainment. You can't help but get invested in these two characters. At the end of Season 1, nearing Season 2, a character named Mira, a civilized Homo sapien woman who was enslaved by some other Homo sapiens and are reminiscent of Vikings, interacts with Spear and Fang, and after getting to know Spear, she interprets his cave paintings to mean that he has concluded to resign himself to a life of solitude. In a turn of events, when he sacrifices himself to save those that he loves, she decides to get it on with his burnt-up charred body, and she agrees to pass on his legacy and his story. And this culminates in a scene where we see Mira and Spear's daughter, along with some happy grown-up baby dinosaurs, the offspring of the still-living Fang, but without Spear himself, who was obviously gravely injured. So, as for Season 3, Jenny Tartakovsky mentioned in an interview that he was considering writing a completely different story, potentially focusing on new characters as part of an anthology series. However, he didn't rule out the possibility of continuing the story with Spear and his family if there was a significant demand from the fans. Thus, the exact plot of Season 3 is yet to be confirmed and might depend on the fans' response to previous seasons or the way that it ended.
And kind of where we go, and it's so dynamic that I'm very excited about people experiencing it. You know, I'm gonna get yelled at, right? There's gonna be angry people, but at the same time, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna have fun. It's fun. It's a fun 10 episodes. You don't know where it's going. It keeps building on itself. And by the end, it'll be an explosion.
The conclusion left many people wondering if this truly means the end of Spear's journey. After accompanying him for an extended period, witnessing his solitude and the pain from the loss of his family, his story ends on a bittersweet note. While it is heartening that he was able to pass down his legacy, the sorrow seems to almost eclipse the joy. He was never granted the opportunity to savor the harmonious and fulfilling joy of living alongside his family, and the closest he got to that after losing his family was when Fang finally laid her eggs. Spear never got to enjoy witnessing his children mature just as his father did. It feels somewhat unjust and leaves a sense of incompleteness that Spear sacrificed so much only to be abruptly deprived of his journey towards genuine happiness. I did entertain the possibility that Spear could still be alive, and there are many ways in which this could happen, regardless of the fact that we see the daughter at the end a little bit older with Spear nowhere in sight. As the creator of the show, Jenny Tartakovsky has a lot of freedom to take the story in various directions, including bringing Spear back to life. The specifics of how this would occur would depend on the storytelling mechanisms used in the show. Given that Primal has a prehistoric setting and it frequently features fantastical elements, a variety of plot devices could potentially be employed to bring Spear back. Devices such as the black goo and the fact that the Viking guy made a deal with a demon in order to seek revenge, to come back to life and walk the earth as a superpowered villainous entity. I mean, with all of that considered, I honestly expect Jenny Tartakovsky to give us a story where Spear goes to the underworld and of course defeats the boss, the large demonic creature we see sitting atop the throne in what looks like the underworld. Indeed, Spear's triumph over the fire god came as a surprising turn of events for both the Viking guy and the audience. However, it's important to acknowledge that Jenny Tartakovsky, the creator of the show, has expressed an inclination towards exploring new characters in the upcoming third season. Therefore, the possibility of Spear's return or absence would be contingent upon the blend of fan feedback and his own creative considerations. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. We can only theorize right now, but I definitely know that the return of Spear would undoubtedly bring immense joy to fans, as he truly is a remarkable character who deserves more than a rushed ending and the departure that we witnessed. It's possible that the decision to take that narrative direction, which may have felt rushed to a lot of us, was influenced by various factors. It's possible that Jenny Tartakovsky was unsure about the show's renewal or simply desired to explore new projects while still providing the fans with somewhat of a closure. I admit, though, I'm still in a state of denial regarding Spear's ending. In the world of Primal, we've witnessed instances where creatures and individuals who should have been gone managed to persist. The Plague of Madness episode serves as a prime example of this phenomenon. Damn, still gives me chills watching that. Still one of the best episodes of any show I have ever watched to this day. Good grief. Additionally, Spear's ability to survive for as long as he did during the final boss fight also speaks volumes about his resilience. Yo, bro went Super Saiyan for a second. Spear went out like a boss, seriously, but it was so sad what happened, and his death, or his absence, is really difficult to accept. But it's also to take into account the unpredictable nature of the show and the potential for surprising twists and turns. I mean, while there is the possibility for Spear to reappear, the story could also continue with a focus on new characters. In my opinion anyway, there'd be no motivation to really follow his daughter unless Jenny Tartakovsky made a story where she grows up and goes to rescue her father from hell and bring him back to life. I guess she can function as a sort of Daenerys Targaryen, where she has 3 dinosaurs at her disposal, which can only mean that at some point later we're gonna lose another one, because when these shows, when you have these animals, you can't have nice things. The last episode of season 2 did have a hint of finality to it because we saw everyone grow up, including the dinosaurs, and I think the reason why Jenny did it this way is so, if it ends there, it could work as a closure. Spear gets to live on in his daughter, and Fang is still alive and got to watch her kids grow up after losing her first clutch. Now, this is the season 3 teaser. The fact that the teaser that was released on Adult Swim when season 3 was announced says something has entered the blood, like a whisper of unnamed evil. The phrase suggests some kind of infection or corruption, possibly at a physical or metaphysical level, given the series' prehistoric and fantastical setting. This could mean anything, it could take any form. One possibility could be the return of the black goo, which we've seen in previous episodes causes drastic and often monstrous transformations in creatures it comes into contact with. This could hint at a new threat or a series of events involving the black goo. For all we know, it could also be a completely new element or threat that we haven't seen before in the series. One thing I enjoyed about Primal is the fact that there are always new antagonists and fantastical elements, whether that be in the presentation of certain creatures or organisms or even humanoid entities. We've also seen in the last episodes that there are elements of an underworld and supernatural beings, which we already know because we've seen witches and wraiths. So I think this leaves the door open to tell many different stories with many fantastical elements and thus many possibilities as to what can happen later on in the story with any of the characters. I mentioned that the black goo was a part of the universe, and we saw how it affected creatures. We also witnessed it being an element to the transformation of the Night Feeder episode, and when they were being chased by it, how Fang fell in some black, gooey, slimy stuff. We've seen the element in Plague of Madness, which could also possibly have been an effect of the black goo or something else. And so season 3 could be hinting at a new threat or infection, something that affects the creatures from within, and this isn't just have to mean the disease that we saw in Plague of Madness. By the way, I also did a video of what I thought about that and what I think it was. It could also be some form of corruption. Maybe the entity that gave the power to the Viking guy for revenge would not sit well with a human or mortal overcoming an element of his power. That would lead to a whole metaphysical corruption theory where it could be a malevolent spirit like the one we saw sitting on the throne, and I'm pretty sure is some form of Diablo, or maybe not even the final boss. It could just be an elite. Another possibility for season 3 could be a manifestation of a darker instinct or a crisis identity that shows up in one of Fang's children. I still think she would be a central character, but it would be interesting if something happened to one of Fang's children similar to what happened to one of Daenerys Targaryen's dragons Viserion, where they are overtaken by an evil entity. And this would also raise the stakes because now we've lost something that we love, another character that we're invested in, that one of our main characters we love is also invested in. Additionally, we could see Spear's return and or transformation. If Spear returns in season 3, the something that the teaser is talking about could refer to a change in him, either physically or mentally. If he is still alive and didn't die, maybe he's physically scarred as we saw him in the end of season 2. He would also be mentally changed from his experience, or perhaps if he is dead, it could mean that he has been resurrected or transformed by some unknown force or entity, similar to what I stated before in one of my previous videos with him having traveled to the underworld. And yes, I did mention in a specific video, I can't remember which one, that it's possible that he might see his daughter or family in trouble and he will resurrect and fight his way through hell to come back to life to protect his family, thus earning his freedom out of the underworld. I can imagine him taking over the underworld and ruling it for some time, but he's not really a ruler, he's more of an introvert, so he's like, nah, I'm out this bitch. And then something happens and the demons have no one to follow, so they follow him outside, and when he's in trouble or they're in trouble, he now commands like a horde of demons or something. And then it just gets preposterous gradually as the story progresses, as we do. That would honestly be the best bet for me if I were making a story about it, but we never know which way this is gonna go. So while I'm happy that Primal is getting a season 3, I wouldn't get my hopes up of it revolving around Spear and Fang or Spear's family based on what Jenny Tartakovsky has said. Then again, you never know. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.